Hey guys, what's up? So, as I promised, and as I really need to do, today we are going to start once again with going through Dark Souls 2. And if you guys have seen the video I put up before, you know exactly why we're going through here. Dark Souls 3 is coming out, and since, you know, I can't wait to buy that game, I figured that this now would be a good time to go back into Dark Souls 2. Now, other people are using this opportunity to go into playing Dark Souls 1 again, because 1 is the favorite of the Dark Souls series. I mean, if we're going to just be talking about the Souls series, then you have to include Bloodborne and Demon Souls as well. But if we're just strictly talking about Dark Souls, then the first game tends to be liked a lot more than the second one, which is what we're playing right now. But I find that the second one has been trashed a little too much by the Dark Souls community. And while there are problems with the game, and I'm not going to lie about that, and I'm definitely going to point them out when I see them, I think overall this is still a pretty good game. Mechanics-wise, you know, progression-wise, yeah, it's a bit linear. Yeah, the story could have been a little bit deeper and a little bit better explained, at least the older version of the game. But it's not all that bad, and as we go through the game, I hope I'm able to point out why I don't think it's as bad as some people are saying. And I also want to use the opportunity to point out the things in Dark Souls 2 that I would like to see in 3. So, yeah. Anyway, let's just get on with it. We can get into what I like, what I don't like, as we go through the series. Now, we're about to get into New Game Plus. This is still the end of my first playthrough with this character, which you guys didn't get a chance to see because I didn't record it all the way. So that's what we're about to get into right now, and we're going to have to pretty much say goodbye to all these people because when we start, none of them are going to be here. In case you guys are wondering how I prepared to go into New Game Plus, because, you know, it's not just simply beating the game and jumping in, there's some things you might want to do. So I did a lot of farming, pretty much. I upgraded, and by the way, I really do like the Throne Watcher stuff, but man, it was expensive to freaking upgrade. Oh my god, it was expensive to upgrade this stuff. Basically, I increased the amount of arrows that I plan on using, as you can see here, because I use arrows a lot. This is a Dex Int character, and since I'm using, you know, Dex, I'm obviously going to be taking advantage of bows, and so I did just that. Upgraded my Hunter's Bow, upgraded my Blue Flame, and those of you who remember my older Dark Souls videos may remember that I said that ultimately these were the weapons that I wanted the guy to use. Because again, this was a Dex Intelligence character. He was going to basically be using melee, but with sorcery to back him up. And these weapons here help with that. Because they basically scale fairly well with Dex, but they also scale with Intelligence, and they have the nice little ability to cast spells, just like a staff or a chime or some other catalyst. So it makes my magic casting and fighting pretty seamless, which is exactly what I wanted. I wanted a sort of, you know, magical or mystical swordsman build, and this is exactly what we got. I also leveled him up pretty high. He is now at level 214 with an 8 million soul memory. So I doubt very much there's going to be a whole lot of co-op with this guy, even in New Game Plus, but who knows, we'll see. We will see. I call this, by the way, the clothes he's wearing, his regal set. I don't know, this looks like a good set of kingly armor. You know, he's got his crown, and even though he's wearing the Throne Watcher set, this looks like something I guess a king might wear. At least I like it. But we're going to be starting the game all over again, and I don't want to look all that regal, so before we start, let's put him back on his farm stuff. And I'm trying to make him light because I like lighter characters and I don't want him with too much of an equipment load. This was pretty much what I had him wearing toward the end of the game, by the way. The only difference is he wasn't wearing that crown until after I'd beaten all 3 of the DLCs. And I think I might keep that crown on his head because, you know what? He's earned it. Normally, I like putting hoods on, you know, something like, say, something like that. In fact, this is how he looked through most of the game, actually, like toward the last half of the game. This is pretty much how he looked. But I think he's earned that crown. And I have a feeling I'm going to be dying a lot, and I really don't want to waste too many human effigies if I don't have to. So, yeah, he's wearing the crown if I can find it again. What did I do with it? It's around here somewhere. That's what happens when you got too much crap. There it is. So, and yes, you know what? I'm probably going to be spending, like, after I finish playing through this and recording this, I'm probably going to just reorganize my items because it's just too much junk. So, anyway, yeah, I basically grabbed, you know, I tried to grab as many arrows as I could. I couldn't really find too many places to get twilight herbs or green blossoms and such. I did, like, upgrade, not upgrade, I did up my amount of flame butterflies. I gave myself 99 of the life gems, bought a whole crap of those. Everything else I probably could, if I really wanted to spend more time, you know, grabbing crap, but, and I also went through quite a lot of my, static souls. I had so many that I never bothered using, and toward the end I was consuming them a lot just so I can upgrade items and level up as much as I could. Well, to be honest, I only was able to level up 2 levels because toward the end of the game I pretty much was just stuck at 212. That would be at level 212. So, but now I'm mumbling and it's time to get moving. So we're gonna say goodbye to our conquered version of Drang Lake. We're gonna have to go through all this all over again, including the freaking Abyss Covenant area, which was a pain in the ass. That was the last thing I did before I decided to start this recording.
Bearer of the curse.
Yep, you'll always be at my side.
I will always be at your side. Until hope has fully withered.
I am really thinking that she's meant to be your new queen if you decide to become the new monarch, but that's something that we can get into later. Already upgraded my flask. Already talked to her.
Over the where
I don't even know why I'm talking to her now.
those who come to
what am I doing?
That blue, although he perhaps he.
Yeah, this is starting out very well, isn't it? So it is now time to say goodbye to all our crazy friends, and we are now going to begin the second journey. So let's see what new craziness awaits us here. And already we noticed, for those of you who played this game, that there's a little bit of a difference, isn't there? I mean, yeah, we started out exactly where we planned on, you know, where he's supposed to start out, but there is now 2 people waiting for us that were not here when we first start the game. Let's go say hello, shall we? Yep, here he comes. Oh, well, he's not all that hard to beat. Whoa! Never mind then. I might die right here. Didn't I kill that guy? Or with, I guess there were 3 of them. Okay. Alright, is there any more? Alright, so I'm guessing, because I didn't fully look around, like we knew there was one dude there, and there was one guy there. There must have been someone right behind me. That's what I'm thinking. There must have been a dude standing behind me, and that's where that extra hawk or falcon came from. And, you know, I'm finding that kind of funny, because if you notice, those guys had falcons, and they were wearing that falconer armor that you can pick up when you first start the game once you get into Majula itself. Oh shit, there's another guy. Jeez, how many of you motherfuckers are there? Okay. Interesting sword they got. I don't think you can get that weapon in the game. That's a, yeah, that looks like a cutlass. And I am pretty sure you can't find that weapon in the game. At least I don't think you can acquire it, because I don't remember that being something you can buy or an enemy dropping, so that's certainly interesting. That person didn't have a falcon. Now I'm going to search the entire area, because, yeah, I was not expecting that. I mean, I knew there were going to be people waiting for me, but I wasn't expecting, you know, that many. There's a bonfire coming up. I can eat another one of these. And I think we're just going to run past these dogs. We know they're there. Whoa! What the hell? Okay. If you notice, I'm not switching up to my double stance yet because, I mean, yeah, these guys are rather surprising to have to deal with, but they don't really have all that much life, so I'm able to take them out pretty well. It's probably because of my level and the fact that I fully upgraded these weapons. And yet, you know what? I am going to deal with the dogs because there's something over here. For those of you who haven't seen this game yet, there's a little item over here you can get. And when you first start the game, if you're nimble enough and brave enough, you can run over here and grab it instead of waiting until later to get it. It's just rusted coins, but that can help because it increases your item find, basically increases your luck. Let's see how much damage it's going to do. Yep, that's good enough. Oh. Okay. Anybody else? Yeah, still easy pickings. Nothing to, you know, worry about. This is not really, I mean, other than the extra enemies, this is not too drastically different from the new game that you will start when you first pop the game in. Not really seeing any extra items, so I guess we'll move on. But yeah, those falconers. This kind of points out to some of the story elements that I guess we could criticize about Dark Souls 2. The fact that there was a lot of background stuff on certain knights or certain types of warriors or enemies, but you didn't really see them, you just heard about them. And now in New Game Plus, we actually got to see them. They were right there. They weren't even in falcon form, they were right there. And they weren't even hollowed, which is also rather interesting, I think. I wonder what that means. Like, they were able to keep their sanity, but they decided to stay here and harass whatever undead happened to drop down that way? Who knows? That's something that we can use over, I guess, later on. And now, the women who will cheerfully send us on our way.
What seems to be the ruckus?
Oh my, your face. The face of the curse. It's an undead.
How did they know that?
An undead has come to play.
Well, okay, to be fair, when you first come here in the game, you are rather hollowed looking,
All
so...
the ones like you. You spoke to that kind old dear, didn't you?
You're finished. You'll go hollow. Yes, you'll become one of them.
Hollows
Wow, how cheerful.
prey upon men, feast upon their souls. This is the fate of the cursed.
And they laugh about it.
What is your name?
Billy Bob Thornton? No, it's Nathaniel.
At least you know your own name. Here's your reward for sharing. It's a human effigy.
I got a free one.
Take a closer look. Who do you think it's supposed to be?
I like how the cinematic had to stutter a little bit
Deep into your past.
to put in my new armor, because obviously I'm supposed to be wearing
Yes.
the Traveler
It's
set.
an effigy
Imported
of
set.
you.
I didn't realize my gloves
All
actually had those
people
spiked
come
hands on them.
here for the same reason. To break the curse.
You're no different, I should think. Doesn't stand a chance. Well, you never know.
Of course, I could just yell at them and say that, hey, I just beaten the game and conquered Drang Lake, but
Go through the
whatever.
door and trot along to the kingdom.
But remember, hold on to your souls. They're all that keep you from going hollow.
That's actually not
Oh,
true.
I'll fool you no longer. You lose your souls. All of them. Over and over again.
Yuck, 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 yuck it up. Such words of encouragement. So yeah, these are the three cheerful old ladies who basically give you words of encouragement and get you all ready and rearing to go into the wonderful world of Drang Lake. Now, one thing I should point out off the bat is when they say that hold on to your souls because it's all that keeps you from going hollow, that's actually not really true. At least if you know the lore of the games fair enough. If you've played the first game, you basically get an understanding that what basically keeps you from going hollow is your will to go on. I mean, that was what was pretty much established in the first game. Like, you know, the longer you hold, if you have a duty or a sense of purpose, you know, in this world, as long as you hold on to that, you won't go crazy and then go hollow. But in this game, it seems they've tried to alter it somewhat. I mean, for one thing, the woman saying that holds on to your souls. But, I mean, even in this game, that's kind of proven to be, you know, demonstrably untrue. And I do think that even in this game, like, ultimately it still goes, it falls over to, like, your will to go on. But they've sort of altered the way the curse works in that it's going to be inevitable that you're going to lose your mind and lose your sense of self and go hollow. Whereas in Dark Souls 1, as long as you had a sense of purpose, you could keep going. So that right away is one of the points of contention that I think many of the players had. And this again is what happens when you put somebody who, let's face it, wasn't really around when the Soul series was taking place and put him in the series. I'm not talking about Tanimura, I'm talking about the other guy, and once again I kind of forget his name. I'll put it on the screen. But yeah, that guy, it's obvious that he was going in a different direction than what was necessary, and they had to do a lot to try to fix things. Let's talk to this woman, even though I'm pretty sure some of you guys already know what she's going to say.
This is a limbo.
There might be some of you who don't know.
A link between Drang Lake and the outer world. Fair traveller, I know that you must have a story. Why else would you visit such a place? This lost, decayed kingdom.
Now that's itself also kind of interesting, that we're in some sort of in-between world, and if you first play the game, there's another big cinematic that you see before you even get here, where your character, you know, is of course wandering through the woods and then falls down dead and gets right back up again because, you know, you're undead, and you meet the old woman who tells you to come here, and then you end up here. But you get here through some weird swirling vortex of a portal, you know, in the middle of a large lake, and you end up in Drang Lake, which in itself is rather interesting. I should look up the name, see if the name of that has any meaning. But what I find interesting is that you get through some type of portal and you end up here, and this is supposed to be a limbo, and that I can believe. But then later on, when we go to into Majula, you just simply exit out of a hole in the side of a mountain somewhere, like, you know, in a rock face. And it's like, shouldn't there have been some other portal to walk out of? I don't know.
My name is Millibeth. The old women were once firekeepers. I am here to look after them. It is what my mother did, and her mother before her, and so on.
Now that in itself is also rather interesting. The fact that, you know, firekeepers apparently can retire. If you played the first game, it didn't seem that way. It seemed like they were pretty much stuck, you know, to a bonfire pretty much for all eternity, or until I guess their souls ran out or something. But yet now here they are in this limbo, you know, just relaxing, drinking tea or whatever it is that they're drinking, and laughing at whether the hapless idiot happens to wander into this limbo, I guess. But that, you know, leaves all sorts of questions as to, okay, if they can retire, then shouldn't that mean that the bonfires, like, is there somebody else who's tending to those bonfires? And if not, shouldn't they have died off? Because, as we all know, when you go through Dark Souls 2, these things are still working. But as far as I can tell, there are no firekeepers watching over them. So, either, once again, we're looking at a pretty big plot hole here, or something replaced the mechanic to keep those bonfires lit. What that mechanic is, we have no clue, because they didn't really drop any hint of that in the game. And I doubt that New Game Plus is going to give any extra answers here.
The old women were keepers of the fire. But now, The fire shows signs of fading, and the kingdom is beset by hollows.
Gee, just like the first game.
The old women, long ago,
Oops, sorry.
firekeepers were commonplace. But now they are lost, scattered to the winds.
Well, okay, first you said that these women here, well, these don't seem to be lost, they're just here in the limbo. So, now you're saying the others are lost. Were they killed? Did they just give up? Did they have to deal with a whole bunch of law treks running around, cutting them down to take their souls? Once again, we don't know. But, again, just touching on the fact that there used to be a bunch of firekeepers, and now they're not around anymore, and yet we still have bonfires. They never answer this question. They leave us to have to speculate on it. And I guess somebody might point out, well, this is what the Dark Souls series does. It, like, kind of gives you a little bit of lore, and then just enough to get you to get an idea what's going on, but leave out a lot for you to try to speculate. Okay, I'm with that. It's one of the things I like about the series. However, at least in, you know, the other Souls games, Demon Souls, Dark Souls, Bloodborne, they don't just give you just bare minimum. They give you enough to make sense. And the stuff that you're trying to figure out are the particulars. But the basics of it, the skeleton of the story, if you will, we get. Here, this is not some minor detail. This is what I would think would be a major bone of the skeleton that we need to know. What's keeping these things working if the firekeepers are no longer tending to them? That's not, you know, some extra particular that adds spice to the story. That's something that I think is rather important to know. Anyway, there's our bonfire, and boom, there it's lit. Now, maybe we can fudge it a little bit and say, hey, this bonfire is right outside their door, so they might be tending to it. Maybe. See, it's funny, I said that I was going to be making a series to basically point out that this is not that bad a game, and so far all I've done is poke holes in it, but I'm not really trying to. It's just, I did say that I was going to point out faults, and that's a fault. Now, this area, for people who have not seen this game yet, and I'm really surprised if you haven't yet, this area is set up to be the tutorial for the game. That's what these little tombstone-like things are there for. You go to them and you examine them and they tell you what's going on. This tells you that's a bonfire. You can use them to rest, and when you rest, it resets everything, including enemies on the map. It resets your spells, it resets your Estus Flask, which if you're starting the game, you don't have one yet. New Game Plus, of course, you got all your good stuff. So. But I'm actually going to do something that I originally did not do. And I'm going to light the torches along the way, just as a marker. Kind of like a I've been here thing. I started doing that late game in my other game, and now I'm doing it with all my other characters, but I didn't do it with Nathaniel. And considering his name, I'm thinking, yeah, he's going to light fires wherever he goes. Damn it. That's what he does. Now, I don't really need to go through here. I already know how to do stuff. Attack with R1. I know how to do this. But whatever. We'll just go through it again. See, it basically tells you everything you need to know on how to get it. And as you can see, these guys are really easy to kill. I'm going to light this torch because I can. Even though it is wasting torches. My torch meter, if you will. Then again, I have 3 hours worth, so I think I'm fine. Plus, I'm going to be getting more through this playthrough anyway, so... You know, I might just keep the torch on. Because these guys are so easy to kill that I don't really need to... have my other sword out. I can just whack. There he goes. Now, I gotta point out something. This upward swing just seems very weird to me as a basic attack. You know, speaking of somebody who practices with swords, you know, yes, there is, you know, at least with my style, there is an upward swing that you do. In fact, some of you guys have seen my videos on basic drills know that there's a basic drill I practice when you do an upward motion. They're somewhat similar to that, you know, but as an opener, you know, like as your basic attack, that seems kind of odd to me that that would be the choice that they would make. I can understand if they would make that downward swing the first one, or better yet, considering how this weapon looks, how it's designed, you know, with a slender, straight blade, you'd think that a thrust would be, you know, a more primary attack. But no, they went with this, and I am not sure why. But whatever. It does seem kind of odd. There's some weird attacks in Dark Souls 2. Dark Souls 1, I think, had more realistic looking attacks to an extent. I mean, there were some weapons where certain attacks were rather ridiculous, but this game seems to have a few more odd ones. Though they also have a few more really good ones as well with certain weapons. So this is your back attack tutorial. I know we're still calling them backstabs because that's what they were called in Dark Souls 1, but now they made it so that only the thrusting weapons or daggers stab them in the back. Now we do all sorts of hacking and slashing to their backs, which I still don't know how I feel about that. On one hand, it's kind of cool that you can, you know, do all this crazy stuff. Huh. Did they change? No, they didn't change this part. It's been so long since I've been here. Whoop. Die. And then there's supposed to be a dude up there. Yep. On one hand, you know, doing all this crazy stuff does add a little bit of, I guess, cinematic flair to it. Like, man, I tore him apart. But on the other hand, I sort of miss the simplicity of, boom, stab him in the back. You know, it's quick, it's efficient. Perforated their kidneys. It's exactly what, you know, you expect to be able to do. It doesn't waste time. Yeah, now here's where they set up their first mini ambush, so to speak. They got a dude coming at you here, and then they got... No, this can't parry. I kind of wish you could parry with the torch, because that's what I would have tried to do to that guy. Which, by the way, when I first started playing this game, I hated how they changed the time, especially since I depended on parrying so much in Dark Souls 1. It was like my main method of defense after a while, besides rolling. And here they had messed it up so much that I was like, you know what? Screw this. I am not even going to bother. Oh, maybe we can turn it back to full. So you know what? There. Now we can pick it up. Damn it. But yeah, they really changed the timing of parries. So for the longest time, I was like, screw parrying. I'm done. I am so done with this. However, actually, they're gonna start talking. However, I then realized that if I just kept at it and really paid attention to the animations, I would be able to figure it out. And I was able to figure it out. The timing for it is still pretty tight, but it can be done, and I'm parrying more successfully now these days when I go through the game, depending on the tool I'm using. Like certain weapons, you really shouldn't bother, but there are other weapons that, they'll go down. Hello? You guys were talking and then you stopped. Anyway, yeah, it is possible to parry in this game, and later on I might switch weapons just a bit to show you guys the parrying window for that. So I'm not 100% like I usually am, or at least 95% like I usually am in Dark Souls 1. Now here, that little voice you heard before they decided to just clip off for some idiotic reason, are the two little crows. I think they're called Tycho and Dilo, or Tylo and Dilo, or something like that. Damn it! I can't believe I'm effing up this bad. Again, I'll put their names in the text. And what you're supposed to do here is you're supposed to leave them smooth things, which I forgot to do before I started New Game Plus. As you can see, I got quite a bit of smooth things that I can leave. But I'll show you what happens. You leave one. I'll just leave one. And then and they're happy about it.
Yeah, silky smooth.
So basically, you give them smooth stones or smooth items, and then they give you stuff for it. So we got a Fire Drake Stone, which is cool, because if you want to turn your weapons into fire weapons, that's, I believe, what you use for it. Problem is, it's going to be quite some time before we're going to be able to do that, because the blacksmith who does it, he's not going to... First of all, we need to find him, and then we need to give him what he needs to even do that, so we're basically being given some upgrading items pretty early. And you can leave as many like that. I think I'm going to leave one. I think you can leave like a bunch at a time, but I usually just leave one just because I don't know if the game's going to glitch up if I try to do it that way. I don't know. It's just me being overly cautious. Poison Stone. Yeah, we know. Cracked Red Eye Orb. And Old Whip. Nothing spectacular. Oh well. I'll come back and do that later. You guys want to... Whoa, wait. Almost forgot. But yeah, I'm not going to spend the whole time here just dropping items. I can do that off camera. But you want to drop down here, actually. You want to kick the ladder, obviously, so you can go back up there later to deal with those two. But then you want to drop down here so you can pick up that extra soul, especially if it's your first time playing. And light sconces with torch. I know! I've been doing that already! I'm the one who wanted to go through here, so... Actually, you know what? Since I was talking about parrying, let's see if I can try to build my skills up with parrying again. Shall we? I'm not promising anything, because it's been a while, but I'm going to try. What am I going to use as my parrying weapon? So you can see I've got... katanas, no. I could use the warp sword. And in fact, I forgot to upgrade it. I'll upgrade it later. I don't really need to go all double blue flames on these guys. Yeah, hold left weapon two-handed, and hold, really, I'm not gonna bother. Well, I messed that up. Let's see if I can... Nope, did that too early, too early. Oh, and the other guy's still alive. See, again, I did that too early. The slow attacks tend to mess me up. I'll try one more time and I'm just going to kill him. Okay, that should have hit. I don't know what that's about. Yeah, as you can see, timing is still pretty tight here with the parry. What I found out is, unlike the first game, where you could hit the button as soon as you see their body pitch forward, in this game, you have to do it just as you see the weapon begin to swing forward. And since these guys swing their weapons at different times and at different rates, and to add insult to injury, depending on what you're using as a parrying tool, it could, you know, the timing for that, the window for it changes. It leaves a huge learning curve to learning how to parry properly, which I think was ridiculous. I mean, yet it is easy to learn, and despite how badly I'm doing right now, I am actually able to get a rhythm going. But then again, that's my first time actually trying to parry with the warp sword, so maybe it's because I don't get the timing for that properly or something. To be honest, when I'm parrying, I'm usually depending on the rapier, or I'm depending on the target shield, or the parrying dagger. And you're jumping. By the way, you guys may notice that the button prompts that I'm using are PlayStation prompts, but I am not using a PlayStation to play this game. I mean, look at the graphics, they're too pretty for that. Now, what I'm using is a mod, or a mod program, I guess, called Getosado, which makes the graphics and lighting a lot better than the base game. You guys may have noticed that. You may have noticed that the graphics look a little bit prettier than they normally do. But yeah, it's because I put Getosado in there, and it makes the shaders and the lighting and the shadows look a lot better. Like the armor has sparkling moments and things like that. But you can also add extra mods on top of that work with Getosado, and one of the things I did was give myself PlayStation prompts, since I use a PlayStation 4 controller to play these games. So, I got sick and tired of always having to mentally translate what button they were talking about in these games. So, there's your lead attack. And there's that. So, yeah, this says jumping attack, which if you want to start invading people, well, there you go. That will help you to do that. I am somebody who does not like invading people's games because I don't like being a bastard. Granted, I will invade sinners, and in fact, you may notice that I'm part of the Blue Sentinel Covenant because I like punishing the guilty. It's just me. So, I like this one just to show I was here. And one thing I like is that they give you a chance to kind of survey this area before you go into it. Like, you can see right away that, down there, I'll have to change the light a little bit, because now that I lit that torch, the lighting effect is making it hard to see back there, which is actually, it makes sense. If you got a light source right in front of your eyes and you got something dark in the background, it's not going to be easy for you to see it unless it's illuminating that area. But there is a pit there that we're going to have to traverse, and we got an old tree there. Gee, I wonder if that has anything to do with what we need to do in order to go over that pit. So, down here, like this. I do have to say that I do like how they set up this kind of tutorial area to kind of teach you the mechanics of how to play the game. You know, just read the signs and do what it says, and you'll get a sense of what to do. And the way they laid everything out, not only is it, you know, giving you you know, things to do to get used to the controls, but it's also giving you an idea of how the game likes setting things up. Like, we had a bridge to cross that we need to kick, but there was also an archer on the other side who was going to snipe at us while doing it. Now, when you first start playing, yeah, that's a problem. But now that I'm level 214, I really don't care if he hits me. Oh, I see there's a change. We got an asshole down there right now. He's got a sword and a crossbow. That's new. Well, first let's light this just to say that, hey, I lit it. And then I'm going to show you guys that I don't play fair when I play this game. I really don't. And it's something that you guys yourselves need to learn how to do when you're playing this game. Play like a cheap bastard. At least when you're up against a computer, because the game itself will try to ambush you and trick you and screw with you every chance it gets. So if you get the chance to have a jump on them and use an advantage to screw them over, use it. I mean, do you see how much life this guy has? Look at that. I'm glad I poisoned him. I really am. Yeah, this is how I play. I absorb what's going on, and then I plan accordingly. Now, I know there's an archer there also. That's originally there. He's originally there to kind of, you know, give you a sense of just how much this game really likes setting up ambushes. But putting a phantom there was also pretty vicious, but I can understand that because this is New Game Plus. But it gives you these scenarios that you got to learn how to get around rather early on, and that does kind of put you in the proper mindset for this game, I find. Now, I can't light this torch yet unless I use a butterfly, and I'm not going to do that yet. I don't want to use a flame butterfly yet. Now, you might be hearing some sounds right now. And it's not this guy. It's not that guy. It's these guys. Now, normally when I play a new game, when I first start the game, I don't mess with these guys yet. Because I'm weak and feeble, and I don't have a good weapon, and I don't really need to get my butt kicked. But now that I'm level 214, and I got really good weapons, I have no problem playing with them. Now, I could just fight them out in the open right now, but for those of you guys who come here for the first time and you're playing a normal game, this is what I suggest you do. You come back here after you've gotten yourself a bow and arrow, and you just shoot them from here. That's all you gotta do. Make sure you stand where I'm standing, though. If you stand too close, they can hit you. Now, I'm gonna speed this up and use my best friends in the world, poison arrows. I love poison in this game. It's so much better than it was in Dark Souls 1. Poison arrows have become my best friend. Stop getting in the way, you're already poisoned. See, they're too big to get in here, so you can just stand here and watch them die. Is it a really evil way to play? Yes. Do I care? No. I mean, I got the freaking stats for it. Might as well use my bow. So, they're dead. Now, you may notice a coffin over there. If you've... Let's put it this way. If you're even remotely attached to your character and you don't want any surprises in, like, changes, don't go in here. Because if you do, you're going to find out that you just did a gender switch. If your character basically has an innie for privates, it's going to end up being an outie and vice versa, so to speak. Yeah, basically if you got a male character and you go in there, it'll turn female, and if you got a female character, you go in there, it'll turn male. So that was a bit of a nasty surprise for people when we first started playing this game. Thankfully I didn't go in there, so I got to keep the gender of my character. On fire, there we go. And now I will set this on fire just cause. So there's gonna be a theme for my dude. His name is Nathaniel, so he will light fires. Damn it. which is kind of funny that I never bothered to level up Faith to help boost up his pyromancies, but there you go. I didn't say everything had to make sense. I'm going backwards, aren't I? I think I'm supposed to go this way. I'm supposed to go to the light! No, I am going the right way. I think. And I believe I did go in here. Yep, I see fire. So, now that we're done, we can leave this place and actually start the game properly. So now it's time for us to get out of the limbo and into the light. I'm finding it rather... Oh, there are messages now. This place again. Probably from someone starting the game all over. Liar. You might notice a lot of messages saying liar, and they're usually near a wall. Because some jerk will always put down, hey, this is an invisible wall! And it's not. There's nothing here. Hurrah for despair! Come on, the game's not that bad. So, we're gonna run through here, and into the light. Here is our new home. For quite some time, because this will be our base of operations in playing this game. Now, of course, seeing that big monument over there, and I like the designers, I do have to give it to them. They at least knew how to put things in the level to catch your eye. Before you had that huge crack, you know, with light coming out of it, basically, you know, telling you this is where you need to go. Until you head to the light, you end up here. And now, once you come out here, the first thing that assaults your eyes is the sun. And where's the sun situated? Right at that monument. And then right there, right below it, is the bonfire. So you know where to go. Like, it tells you where to go. By visually, here, you need to go here. No, it trusts that you're a human being who knows how to take visual cues and knows how to study your surroundings. And uses that to give you an idea of where you need to head out to. And if you pay attention, you can see that there are items to grab along the way, like that one over there. One thing that I keep telling people who don't play this game and want to get into it, and they ask me for tips or something, I always say the #1 tip they need, besides keep your shield up. That was one of the #1 rules for Dark Souls 1, keep your freaking shield up. This game, not so much. You can get away with not playing with a shield. But the #1 rule of all the games, really, and binoculars, that helps. I'm grabbing 2 of them, I think, for some weird reason. It's pay attention. So many deaths can be avoided if you would simply just pay attention. And I don't understand why people don't do that. Like, even in these games, they know this game is difficult. They know they set up traps. They know they do things which, you know, you won't have to fall for if you just decide to stop, look, and listen. But they still rush ahead anyway and get murdered, and then they blame the game. No, it's because you didn't freaking pay attention. And sometimes even guys who are well known for being good at the game do it. I won't mention names, but there have been times I've seen certain people blame certain DLCs for bad design when all they had to do was pay attention to the fact that there were explosive barrels everywhere. I don't need to get into that. I'll save that for later. Anyway, here is our friend, the Emerald Herald. You saw her earlier, before I switched out to New Game Plus. And this is where you will first find her, just standing at this tree, looking out into the ocean. Sort of similar to the cinematic that we saw her in when they first announced this game. So let's talk to her.
Are you the next monarch?
Well, I do have a crown on my head.
Or merely a pawn of fate? Bearer of the curse, I will remain by your side till this frail hope shatters.
Okay.
Take this with you. May it ease your journey. Go on and see the king. He who made Drangleic what it once was. He who peered at the essence of the soul. King Vendrick.
Now, the reason why I laughed is because this is where you get your Emerald Flask from. But I already have it, so she's like, take this. And take what? She just keeps on talking.
Bearer of the curse, seek misery.
Wait, what?
For misery will lead you to greater, stronger souls.
Huh.
You will never meet the king with a soul so frail and pallid.
You know, that line, seek misery, for misery will bring you to stronger souls, which, you know, implies that, you know, through adversity, you're going to get stronger. It reminds me a lot of a line, you know, a common term in Chinese martial arts, to eat bitter. Like, you need to eat bitter in order to, you know, attain true skill or, you know, to acquire any sort of strength. Like, you have to go through bitterness before you can get to the sweetness. So it's kind of funny, you know. I get it's the same. It's the same basic concept. You gotta struggle before you succeed.
Seek those whose names are unutterable. The four endowed with immense souls.
Yeah,
Their
some we'll get
souls
to
will
later.
serve as beacons. Once you have found them, return here to me, so that hope will not fade away.
That I found kind of odd. That, okay, once you found them, return to her. And yeah, when you do find them, she does say some extra stuff, but it's nothing major. And then at that point, she then says, okay, now you need to go to now you need to go to Drangleic Castle because you got the souls. But she doesn't really do anything noteworthy when you get them, as you'll see as we go through.
Bearer of the curse.
Ah, her famous lines.
Seek souls. Larger, more powerful souls. Seek the king. That is the only way. Lest this land swallow you whole, as it has so many others.
Yeah, I say those are her famous lines because those lines are the ones that she says most of the time when you come back to her to level up or upgrade your flask or talk to her or whatever else. And this was a bad decision on the designer's part. I know what they were trying to do with the Emerald Herald. They wanted her to make her an analog to the Maiden in Black in Demon Souls, who also talks to you a lot when you come to her. The difference being that when she talks to you, she doesn't waste your time. Like, here she has this, you know, long-winded speech, seek souls, larger, before you even get to the menu. Whereas the Maiden in Black and Demon Souls, all she says to you is something like, oh, so did you want soul power? That's pretty much it. And then boom, menu pops up. She does have a long speech, but she says it when she's leveling you up, where it makes more sense. Here, you gotta go through the whole seek souls, and so you speed through it, which is why she now has the nickname Bear Seek Less, because everyone just speeds through her dialogue just so they can get to the menu. Bear Seek Less, Mrs. Bear Seek Less. So yeah, that was a dumb decision on their part, and I don't know why they didn't think of that, but maybe we can blame it on that other director. I don't know. Anyway, through her, we can level up, and I can't level up right now because, as you can see, I'm so high up that I need quite a few souls in order to raise up my next stats. And my stats are pretty good already. What I do plan on doing is I'm probably going to start pumping up faith. The last time I went through it, I was like, screw faith, both as an in-joke and as my character build. But now I'm going to start pumping it up simply because there's certain skills that I want this character to have that I'm going to need to pump faith up for. So, yeah, there's that. But yeah, you go through her to level up, and you go to her to upgrade your Estus Flask. Thing is, I already have it fully upgraded, so that's now useless to me. And since it wasted enough time, you know, just showing basic stuff without going through action, I'll save the rest of her dialogue for later. And we're going to start saying hello to some of the people here. What I plan on doing at this point is we're going to go that way, out to that area. You see out there? See that little place that looks sort of like a fortress with that big-ass human-looking statue in there? That's where we're going first. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to fight my way through there until I make it to the second bonfire, and that's where we'll cut out the recording for now. Because this has gone on long enough. I know most people, they like going that way so they can go out to that area over there, which is Hyde's Flaming Tower. Several people I know like going there first. And there's nothing wrong with that, but I like going here first. I just find it makes more sense to go there first. That's just me. So here is our the pressed icon for this game. It seems every Souls game has a dude in there who just gives up. And he's usually like, I don't know why you're here, it's a waste of time. You're just going to, you know, go hollow anyway. So, and I know some people get tired of seeing this particular Souls trope, you know, the guy who just gives up and sits there and just does nothing but complain. But I've always appreciated that because I've always felt it was a way of actually turning an aspect of gameplay into storytelling. Because as I'm sure many of us know, there are people who have picked up the Souls games, make it to a certain point, can't get past a certain boss or a certain area, and they're just like, fuck it, I give up. They just either they stop playing. Like, I've actually known a dude who I recommended the game to, who went and bought the game, the Dark Souls 1, that is, couldn't get past the gargoyles and said fuck it and gave up. He actually returned the game. So this dude here, our crestfallen warrior type, so to speak, represents those guys. And if you notice, they do have some tips to give you, like beginner's tips for the game, like, okay, you need to go here, you need to go there. But they never really give you anything deeper than that, because they're supposed to represent the person who's only able to go so far. And they're like, well, you know, I know if you do this and that, that'll help you, but you're not going to be able to go much farther than that anyway. That's what this guy represents. And I've always liked that they threw a guy in there who represents that sort of player.
You're undead, aren't you? You have that distinct scent, the smell of irreversible fate. This is Majula. It is a kind of settlement. A place where life is almost normal.
Almost, he says.
And in Drang Lake these days, there are very few places like that.
You know what? I am going to get him talking later. I want to hurry up and get to, you know, actually going through the game so that you guys don't get so bored. But yeah, I will at some point go through everyone's dialogue here in this area so you can get to know everybody. This, by the way, is something that the developers just kind of left to put special messages. When the DLC was coming out, this actually would tell people about, hey, new DLC popped up at a certain area, go there. And now that the DLCs are out, now this is back to Letters of Warning Beyond Recognition. So this is kind of like their little whiteboard to let the players know what's new's been added to the game. And this is how many people have died worldwide on the PC version. Quite a bit. Quite a bit. And I know my deaths are recorded there. I died quite a bit getting through here also, I'm not gonna lie. Anyway, I'm gonna just quickly give you a cursory tour through here. Right here is our first blacksmith, and as you can see, he's not blacksmithing. He's just sitting here for a really stupid reason.
Who are you? Oh, it doesn't matter. Just help me open this door. I packed my tools in here, seeing it was vacant. But now somebody's gone and locked the door. I'm a blacksmith. I'm nothing without my tools. Bring me that key. Chop chop.
Now, okay, this is like a typical quest that you would probably see in RPGs. Give me this and I'll give you this. But you do notice that there are freaking holes, like where windows used to be, that he could just dive in and get into? And he's not that big. And I remember I said this to a friend of mine. He's like, well, he's kind of big, you know, he's kind of round and fat. And he could go through this one. Just get a leg up, get in there, or stand on one of these boxes to do it if you can't lift your leg up in there. See, stuff like that is a design snafu. You don't design a hut like that and then have the guy standing in front of it going, I'm locked out, I can't get in. When you know, the average teenager would be thinking, even the average kid would think, oh, the window's open, I can get in the house this way. And now, here's an interesting merchant. And I say interesting because he actually gets a little bit of character development.
Hello there. Welcome to my shop. I'm Morlin, and I sell armor.
Yes, you do.
Sorry, Please do have a look at my wares. I could really use the business. If you'd be so kind.
The look of this place here, you probably could. So he sells armor, and depending on your build, you may want some of this stuff. Now, this set over here is the set that you start out with if you pick like the warrior class to start out with. I started out as the swordsman class for anybody who's interested, because I like that. I like Dex characters. So yeah. As you can see, commonplace piece of armor, no embellishments, very solid. This armor, by the way, should look familiar to you. This is that Falconer set that we saw those guys who tried to ambush us in the beginning. You know, that's what they were wearing. And this gives us a little bit of a background on who these guys were. You know, as you can see, they served as the bodyguards to the affluent elite. So what's interesting to me is that we then get ambushed by these guys when we first start the game, and they're not hollow. So that makes me personally wonder,
Well,
you know, okay, why were they
I hope I
there?
see you again.
I mean, I know the obvious reason why they were there. The developers were like, well, it's New Game Plus, we need to make it harder. Let's just put some guys in there and let's make them unique. Let's just make them the Falconers. Haha. Yeah, but story-wise, why are they there? You know, who were they guarding that was elite? Maybe they were guarding the, what you call it, the retired Firekeepers? Maybe? Like, they were there, like, to keep anybody from hurting them or trying to kill them for souls, which is something that happened a lot in the first game, supposedly. I mean, it's something we can infer. I don't know, but you see, those are the type of questions I like asking sometimes. Oh, now we have an Estus Flask shard. What I'm finding interesting is that I already maxed out my Estus Flask. I think you can only get up to 12. I could be wrong. I'm about to find out. Let's go over here and see what she says. So, walk over here.
Bearer of the curse.
Seek less. I know. Upgrade, and it's at maximum strength, so I got an item I can't do anything with. I could just toss it out, but I'm going to hold on to it to see if I can sell it. Which, I'm not going to be able to sell things for quite some time, but it is possible to sell things. Okay, we got one final person to at least see, and then I'm going to get on with things. And again, I'm sorry for how long this is taking. Unless you guys are finding this interesting.
Oh, undead, are we?
Yes, we have a talking cat.
And one without much time remaining.
At that.
Just about ready to fall apart, I'd say.
Hey.
Not exactly the time to be chatting with a cat.
She's a good look at her face.
Well, suit yourself. Oh yes, you may call me Shalqua. Enchanté. So, what did you want anyway? Ooh, you smell wonderful.
Oh, you know, just Old Spice. So, anyway, she sells some interesting items. Got the Ring of Evil Eye, which you can use to basically act like a vampire and suck up some of their souls for health. You got the Silver Cat Ring, which is actually useful in a few key areas, particularly when you're going down that huge freaking pit that you may have noticed in this place. The Red Eye Ring, which makes it easier to be detected by enemies, which you may be wondering, well, why the hell would I want that? Well, if you're playing co-op and you're tanking, then a ring like this would be pretty useful. Name Engraved Ring is strictly for co-op, and I find it to be, it's very useful for co-op because it kind of extends your soul memory range. And now I need to get at the soul memory. Soul memory is one of the dumbest things that they added to the game, and it's telling that they did not add it in Bloodborne, and they do not plan on adding it for Dark Souls 3. Basically, they were trying to find a way, I guess, to make things a little bit more fair for people being invaded or doing, you know, duels or whatever. So instead of going, like, matching you by level, they decided to do it by something called soul memory. Basically, for every enemy you kill, the souls you absorb from them go to a soul memory counter. And it's that counter that they use to determine who you're going to be able to play with, either through co-op or invasions or things like that. Problem is, it opened... This was supposed to be their way to keep, you know, people who obviously are really, really, you know, experienced at the game, having a low-level character, but having high-level equipment coming and beating the living crap out of you through invasions and such. The problem is Soul Memory opened up a whole new host of problems. Chief of which being that you could purposely keep your character at a low level, which is something that a lot of Dark Souls players like doing. And, you know, you're running around and say a soul level 30. But because of your soul memory being so high, because you are going to be killing enemies throughout the course of the game, because of that being so high, suddenly, you know, a level 130 guy might jump into your world, and there isn't a damn thing you can be able to do to fight them off, except maybe luckily throw them off a cliff or something. You're completely outmatched. So, yeah, it was a dumb freaking idea, and I really think they should have left well enough alone. Because the fix that they tried to use also has its own host of problems, but whatever. Finally, Ring of Whispers. This thing is really only useful for one small part in the game, and that's talking to a particular NPC. Generally, it's supposed to be used to help you locate enemies hiding around the corner because you'll hear them grumbling and stuff like that, but really, you don't need that to know that there are enemies hiding around the corner if you do what I said was the #1 rule of Dark Souls and pay attention. And you'll see what I mean as we get to the
Nothing
game.
suited you, I presume?
Nope, because I already own most of this stuff.
Well, that's dismaying.
So I am leaving her behind, and I'm going to try not to fall down the damn pit. This mansion here, we can't get into yet. Mansion yet, it's all run down, but whatever. Door's locked, because I don't have the key to get in. Because it's New Game Plus, and they got rid of all my keys. But we will find the guy who has the key to it shortly, and we'll be able to get in. Now, this way, through this old church, is how we're going to get to Hyde's Tower of Flame. We are not going that way, though. I just wanted to show you what was up here. Again, this is for people who have not seen this game yet. Homeward Bone. This game is pretty generous with the Homeward Bones, by the way. And this here is called Victor's Stone, this huge freaking tombstone. What this is here for is for people who feel that Dark Souls is not challenging as it is. If you pray in front of this stone, you will join, I think it's called the Champion's Covenant or something like that. And when you do that, you are no longer able to invite people, to summon people into your world to help you through co-op. You're going to have to fight everything by your own damn self. Not only that, but you are also going to have to deal with enemies who hit harder and have more life than they normally do. So yeah, it's basically for masochists. However, if you level up in that covenant by constantly conquering phantom enemies who invade you, you will get some really cool items, chief among them being a special fist weapon which does a ridiculous amount of damage, if I remember correctly. I don't know because I've never joined that covenant. Maybe I will one day, but I'm not. So enough blabbing, let's get the hell out of here and actually play through the game properly. And like I said, I will cut this off once we get to the second bonfire of the area I'm going to. Now over here, by the way, I'm going to leave this to a vote. Since I've already grabbed most of the items that are around here, and many of you guys who are seeing me play are probably people who have already played through this game and know where things are, do you want me to show where the items are yet? Because I'm assuming that there are some people who have still not played through this game yet and just simply want to see me go through it and maybe might be interested in where everything is. Would you guys rather me just showing every single last thing, or just let me, or would you rather just see me play through the game normally and don't mind if I skip certain things because I already have the items and I'm not really interested in getting them? Let me know in the comment section or PM or whatever. And depending on what you guys want will depend on what I do. I mean, there's still certain things that I will show simply because I want to get certain items, even if I already have certain ones already, but in general, you know, if it's stuff that I think is going to be kind of redundant to get, and it's only the only reason why I go through there is just to show a newbie where it is. If you feel that's unnecessary for me to do, let me know, guys. So, now, normally what you're supposed to do, the newbie is going to just cross the bridge and go around here and go out that way, right? But if you pay attention, you may notice that there's a little rock down there that you can fall on if you're careful. You don't want to fall into the water because these guys can't swim. So you open this up, and we get a human effigy. We get 5 of them. And in the beginning, when you're first playing this game, those are very valuable because you will die a lot and you're going to want to turn human again. And that's what human effigies do. So we're going to jump. I almost fell for some weird reason. The game stuttered there. I don't know why. And then you go over here and you can grab another homeward bone and a soul of a lost undead, which again is useful because souls are the currency of the game, and that just gives you some extra currency. So, now we're playing the game properly. Now normally, when I play through here, the first thing I do is I clear this area out. And what I mean by that is, sheesh, I'm overpowered. Normally in the Dark Souls games, enemies just keep respawning. Every time you use a bonfire, they just come back. However, in Dark Souls 2, you only have a certain amount of time to keep doing that before they are going to just completely disappear. I think it's about 15 times you have to do that before they completely disappear off the map and you... oh, life gem. You know what? I'll just leave that there. I don't... Basically, yeah, you got about 15 times to go through the area killing guys, and then once you kill people 15 times, they're not coming back. And the only way to get them to come back is to use something called a bonfire setting, which will bring them back, but will also make that area harder. So, in some ways, I liked the mechanic because that means it made things a little bit easier for the newbie who was having a hard time getting to the area. They just kept dying over and over again. I messed that up. There we go. Dead. I want to show you guys something. There's something I'm trying to do, and I'm doing it wrong. Believe it or not, like the way you're supposed to do that, you're supposed to parry them, wait for them to fall down, like wait until they fully, finish falling to the ground, and then you press attack and you stab them in the ground. But I recently found out something. If you parry and then time your attack to hit them just before they fall down, you actually get the other critical attack. And what I mean by the other critical attack is, well, let me see what I'm doing here. And I fucked up. And I fucked that up completely. There's a move you can do where you kind of knock their shield aside and then you press attack and you do another critical hit. You can actually pull that off after a parry, but the timing for it is pretty tight. Messed that up. I just pulled this off because I want to try to show you guys the parries, but you know what? Screw it. Maybe later. This guy is not a corpse. He soon will be, but he's not a corpse. Yeah, they set up that trap because the average player will see the body there, possibly think it's a dead body, run for this item, grab it and be happy, then turn around to see the guy attack him. Typical trap. Anyway, like I said, if I was playing this game in just like New Game, not New Game Plus, I would then, after clearing this area out that you just see now, I'd run back to that bonfire, reset it, and kill these guys all over again until I finally wipe this area out. And the reason why I do that isn't because this area is hard and I want to get rid of them, but simply because I want to get enough souls to buy a particular item from a merchant that we're going to see later. So I just kill these guys for currency. Drink that, and we're gonna head up top. We're just gonna get through this because, well, I don't need to farm for souls anymore because I got more than enough to buy whatever it is I need to buy. So now they've put us here with another dilemma. We got these jerks to deal with, and there's a lot of them. Actually, you know what? Screw lock on, because I don't need it. As you can see. You want to fight these guys behind this tree, by the way, because if you're going to be fighting them out here, especially if you're just starting the game out, there's an archer up there, and he will be taking pot shots at you. So I usually just go here and fight, and then I don't got to worry about it. So, Hollow Infantry Helm, I don't know why I'm picking this shit up. Whatever. Now, what I normally do after that is I just then run over here, and one thing I want to show you, you can make a running jump from here over there and grab that item up there. It's the only way to do it. And what's over there is throwing knives. I got plenty of those, so I'm not going to bother making the leap. Over here is a problem. We got that dude, and then we're going to have another dude with an axe, and there's not much, room to fight in. At least that was the dilemma they wanted us to face, but since I am strong and mighty, I don't have to worry about having to kill them with more than one hit. Or, okay, maybe more than 2 hits. It's that other guy who's still alive with the first swing. These guys are a little bit stronger, I've noticed. No, you don't. Messed up my back attack, but whatever. Over there, by the way, that's a short sword. If you run over and jump across, boom, and go over there, it's a short sword. Since I already know what it is, I'm not going to pick it up. I got enough junk in my backpack already. And then you just run back down, and you don't got to worry about the archer anymore. Now, you guys, I'm sure, have noticed the dude in white standing there, and that's the Hyde Knight. Now, the interesting thing about the Hyde Knights, besides the fact that for some strange reason they're not in Hyde's Tower of Flame, they're here. I've heard that they changed that in the Scholar of the First Sin edition. could light this torch, but it's stay light here, so I will break my rule of lighting flames and do that. But yeah, this guy just sits here. He does nothing. He's not going to attack you. He's not going to ambush you. He's just sitting there like, man, my life sucks. I got an arrow in my freaking eyeball. Got another one in the side of my head. Nobody loves me. You know, he's just sitting there just thinking about how life has done him wrong. And because of that, another inventory full thing. Because of that, I don't bother him. You know, I know a lot of people kill this guy because they want to get his sword, which is a decent sword to have early on in the game. I have no use for it, and he's not bothering me, so I'm not going to kill him. Now, I do know in New Game Plus, when you kill him, he also has a chance of dropping armor pieces as well. But I don't want his armor. It doesn't look all that great to me, so I'm just going to move on. Maybe later I might go after these guys if you guys request it or something, or if I really, really want to see his armor, but I'm just not interested. I'm really not. So now we go through this fog gate, and down here we have two paths. There's a path over there, and there's a path over here. Now, if you're smart, you will go this way, especially if you're just starting out, because there's two jerks over here waiting for you. And they're all going to come out the woodwork if you go that way. But if you go this way, and do better than I did, because I didn't mean to do a jump attack, you can kill them, and pretty much break the ambush. Here are some bolts. Let me see. Yep, bolts, which are useless to me because I don't use crossbows. And now, as you can see, there's a dude over here who has not realized that we went past this little ambush. So we can give him his just desserts. That's what you get for not paying attention. Here's the first decent threat in the game if you have not fought the Hide Knight, because the Hide Knight's pretty tough, especially early on. But he's no problem for me, so go. And actually, to be perfectly honest, he's not that much of a problem when you first start in the game also. It's just that he packs quite a punch if he hits you. But as long as you're sticking and moving and you know how to dodge, even if you're first starting out, he's not hard to deal with. Now, I'm hearing growling. You hear that? It's that dude that we're hearing. And what he's going to do is he's going to throw firebombs at us as soon as we reach the top of the stairs. So what you want to do is run past him, roll past this jerk, and fight the goons over here, and now you don't got to worry about the firebomb reaching him. I got a bandit's knife, which, okay, whatever, and a foot soldier sword, which, okay, whatever, we're probably just going to sell that. Now, you can deal with this guy a number of ways. Most likely, you're not going to have a long-range option unless you got a couple of... If you ran and jumped and grabbed those throwing knives, then you can use that against him. If you charge him, he's just going to throw freaking firebombs at you, and then you got to deal with that. Or you can do what I'm about to do. Just freaking snipe the bastard, and now you don't got to deal with his fireball antics. Then we're going to go over here. And this dude's going to make a leaping attack at us, most likely. You can parry that, believe it or not. I can simply roll past them and finish him off that way because I am not using parryable weapons. And here's the buckler, which is the first decent parrying tool of the game, and I highly suggest, if you're trying to learn the timing of parrying, that you use the buckler to figure it out, because it does make things easier. So, now we're over here. Witching Urn, and then we got this jackass who's going to wake up and die. Pretty simple. I haven't even needed to use sorcery yet, because generally my sorceries are backups. They're not my main attacks. This is not a sorcerer build. And already we got somebody who wants us to summon him, which I find quite interesting. So this is New Game Plus. And now we have our first merchant. And she's quite interesting.
Buy something, anything. Oh, come now, help an old woman and buy something.
Notice her right hand. That weird dark energy thing around it. It makes me wonder, like, what that's about. Is she like a hexer or something? And I do notice that later on in the game, there are going to be certain hollows coming at us who also have weapons with that weird dark aura around them. And they tend to do quite a bit of damage when they hit you. Which is making me think that if you attack her, she probably packs quite a wallop when she hits you. So don't freaking do it. Besides, why would you attack her? She's just a sweet little old lady. A sweet old lady who might have possibly stolen that blacksmith's key, because there it is. And she's selling it for 1,000 souls. I mean, you had to say that somebody went and locked the door, and now here she is with the freaking key, and she's like, oh, you want it? 1,000 souls. So, and plus it's called Leningrass's key, which makes me wonder if she knows who it belongs to. Leningrass is the name of the blacksmith, obviously. Makes me wonder if she purposefully stole the key. I mean, of course, we could say that maybe she just found it somewhere, but I don't know. It was making it look like she stole the freaking thing. Anyway, we need it, so we'll buy it. And we're going to need this, so we'll buy that too. Now, these little items here are very, very interesting. What they are their bright bugs, and what they do is they make things a little bit easier for you to deal with bosses. Like, you can inflict more damage and you receive less damage. But what they do is they level, the price of them kind of is tied to your level. The higher you go up in level, the more they're going to cost. What's funny to me is, before I switched to New Game Plus, these things were costing like around 48,000 souls. Because, well, I was around, soul level 212, 214. Now that I started New Game Plus, they're back to 6,000. I find that quite funny. Anyway, these items here are quite useful. Witching urns are basically magic damage bombs, fire bombs. These restore your spell usage. These are life gems, but I got quite enough already. And then human effigies. I already got 36 of the freaking things, but nothing wrong with grabbing more, so boom, let's just buy those. Money is no object for me. It's no problem for me. These are the traveling merchant clothing, which those of you who've played Dark Souls 1 may remember them. Well, they're not exactly the same items as they were in Dark Souls 1, but they're similar. There's like a traveler's set, which is kind of similar to this, but these have been designed differently, but they kind of have the same function. And in the beginning of the game, I tended to buy these and wear them, because number one, they're not bad armor, and two, this does help with item find, so. And finding items in this game is a lot harder than it was in Dark Souls 1. Oh man, later on, the rant I will have with finding items. I hate the way finding items works in this game. It's really freaking stupid. Anyway, I already have 6 bright bug ones, but just for novelty's sake, I'll buy them. Well, they're gonna clean me out. I'll wait until later to buy them, but I'll buy at least one. I'll buy one. And now let's exhaust our dialogue. Oh! Since I bought a certain amount of, I've spent a certain amount of souls on her, she's not going to give me the coveted serpent ring +1, which is kind of useless to me. So now I'm just going to probably buy something else from her, because otherwise she's going to say that I did. That's one weird glitch in the game. If you buy things from them to the point where they give you free items, several merchants will do that if you buy a lot of stuff from them. After you've gotten the free item from them, if you then leave, they act as if you never bought anything from them at all. It's a weird glitch in the game that they never bothered to fix. So I'll just buy one.
My name is Melentia.
Pleased to meet you.
You're a stranger to this land.
Not exactly.
Oh, we get as strangers these days. Everybody's gone and run off.
Gee, I wonder why.
Dranglake's been a pile of rubble since the war thought long, long ago. When the giants crossed the sea.
Now, that's an interesting tidbit, the giants. There was quite a lot of speculation before about who the hell these giants were and why they attacked and what exactly it was, that Vendrick did that pissed him off so much. But now that Dark Souls 3 has been announced, and in the cinematic, at the end of the cinematic, there was a weird giant-looking thing which looks, interestingly enough, a lot like these guys. There's some new speculation to be had about them, and I will be getting into that eventually.
It seemed like the battles would never end. Poor folk like myself have nary a place to sleep. I swear I'll keep all me things right with me. You may travel light, but methinks you bear a burden of your own.
Sort of.
They say these trees grew from the remains of the giants. From each carcass sprouted new life growing into what you see now. But you know what they also say? Don't believe what an old hag says. It's high time that I pick up and move.
Okay, now she's gonna head out to Majula.
I've a bargain for you next time we meet my lover.
Generally, whenever you meet an NPC out in the actual, dangerous parts of the game, you want to exhaust their dialogue so that they end up in Majula. Now, not all of the NPCs you meet will end up in Majula, but most of them are. So you want to exhaust their dialogue.
Thank you kindly.
And that line right there is something of Easter egg, I guess, or like a little bit of fan service for players of the first Dark Souls game, because the first merchant you bump into in that game says the same thing when you buy stuff from him. Though we could also surmise, considering that this game is supposed to take place many centuries afterwards, that she may be a descendant of his. And considering that that merchant in the first game was a bit unscrupulous, it kind of lends a little bit more weight to the hypothesis I have that she stole that dude's key. Because that merchant in the first game was a bit of a bastard himself. He point blank tells you that the items that he sells you were stolen or pilfered from corpses of people who have run through the land. And he says that, yeah, of course these things are stolen. I got them from the corpses of the other idiots just like you who came through the game and died. And when you die and lose your marbles, I'm going to take your shit and sell it to the next guy. He just point blank tells you that that's his racket that he runs. And something tells me that, she's probably supposed to be a descendant of his, so she probably has sort of that same scavenger-type instinct that he has, which, again, makes me think that, yeah, she probably took the damn key. And in fact, later on, she's going to have access to items that, only could have been pilfered from corpses that you left behind. Of course, people may wonder, well, how the hell does she get those items if she's chilling in Majula? But who knows? Maybe while you're running off doing things, she's running off doing things. So maybe she's following close behind you. Who knows? Anyway, we're going to end this off here because this video is long enough as it is. Tune in next time when we are going to dive down that way and then possibly dive down this way. I don't know what that next video is going to end at, but I do know that we're at least going to jump down there and possibly take on the pursuer early. We will see. Or I might do one properly. I don't know how I'm going to do it. I might have, because I think I've already taken them on early in my older videos, so I might just do it properly in this video. We'll see. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed this. Let me know what you think. If there's certain things I need to change, if this is a little too boring, if I need to just get on with the action, let me know what you think. Until then, take care. Catch you guys later.